Hello everyone, here is Simon Jacobson. I welcome you to another episode of Meaningful Live every Sunday, 3 p.m. New York time, Eastern time. We'll be speaking about something I think every person on earth needs to hear, and that is think different, be different, think for yourself, be yourself. This program is dedicated in honor of Irene Susmano's birthday. I remember when my young son came home from school one day. He was a little kid, maybe 6, 7 years old. He was very excited. I asked him, "What are you so excited about?" He said, "I heard something really nice today." I was a father. I was excited to hear what he was excited about. And I said, "What'd you hear?" He said, "I heard you were born an original. Don't become a copy." So a little while ago, my son today is a father of his own, almost 40 years old. So I asked him, "Do you remember that day you came home from school?" No, he didn't even remember, but I did. So I said to him, "So what happened with you? Are you an original or a copy? What did you become?" Now, no pun intended, my son happens to be a copywriter. He's a creative director, brilliant, wordsmith. So his response to me, to my question, "What happened with you? Did you become a copy or an original?" He said, "I'm an original copy." Whatever that means. One of the most powerful but also tragic poems is The Voiceless by Oliver Wendell Holmes, where he writes, "Alas, to those that die with their song still inside them." Maybe paraphrased a bit. Alas, to those that die with their song still inside them. You, I, every single person on this earth has unique song, I would say unique songs, a unique voice to express something that you and only you can express. However, and this needs to be analyzed, we live in a world where we're pressured to conform. Nobody admits they're a conformist, mind you. I've traveled the world many times. I've asked people, many audiences. Any conformists in the room? Very, very few people will raise their hand. So I come here to report to you that there are millions of non-conformists. But we all know that's not true. We conform. Firstly, we're social beings that need to feel belong, accepted. So whether it's our parents initially, later our classmates, our schools, our educators, our social influences, we want to fit in. Everybody likes to be a little original, but not too much, not to be weird. So what happens is other people's voices, other people's opinions, other people's expectations and demands begin to shape us. And we lose sight of our own voice. I'm not going to say we lose our voice. We just lose sight of it. So if you ask yourself today, who are you? Are you an original? Or are you a copy of someone else? Willingly or unwillingly? Consciously or unconsciously? Not such an easy question to answer. Because we'd like to think that we are being ourselves, being original, being unique, being out of the box, but then the question is, what does your box look like before you're out of the box? And remember, especially early impressions in our formative years, impressionable years, shape us to the point we may not even know whether we're following our own program or someone else's. How many of us are still really just doing what our parents wanted us to do and never found our own voice? And if you have parents who are demanding and pressuring and very insistent and also suffocating, often we just give up. And at such a young age, we don't even know about it. We're not even aware. You have someone that criticizes you a lot to fit a certain way. So often you become someone that you were not necessarily even meant to be. It's not always a bad thing, influences. But one of the most important things, it's actually from the Bible. Abraham, the great Abraham, the original nonconformist, the original pioneer, trailblazer. The first thing that he's told is, leave your homeland, leave the birth of your parents, leave the place, the birthplace, where the home of your parents and your birthplace. 3 different expressions. Leave your land, leave your birthplace, and leave the home of your parents. Because it's emphasizing that these forces in each one of our lives shape us. They turn us into the subjective creatures that we are. Now, not all influences, as I said, are negative, but many of them very often limit us. They constrict us. And we feel we'll only be good if we do this, if you do that. So how do we create a balance where we can learn from those influences in our lives, but that they don't redefine us, they don't reshape us. They actually help us become who we should be. You know, every bird, and the same with every human being, needs to have a nest. We need nurturing, we need protection, and we need direction and guidance. That's what good, healthy parenting would do. But what happens as the bird gets older? You want to be able to spread your wings and become yourself. I always think of the tree. The tree, the only thing that grows in 2 directions at once. Deep roots, firmly founded, unwavering, strong. But then the tree expands outward, branches outward, and produces its own leaves and fruit. That's what life is all about. We want to have deep roots. We want to have those connections, the good influences in our lives, but we don't want them to limit our ability to be ourselves. Now, it needs a lot of courage to find your own voice, to sing your song. But the first step comes by asking the question, who are you? What you're doing today, is it a result of someone else's demands and expectations and pressures, or is it really coming from the depths of your own soul? So that question is critical, because half the question of a wise person is the answer. The second thing is to identify what is it that really resonates with you. I've met people who said, I've never been able to do what I really enjoyed. I love playing music, but I was told no, it's not a way to make a living. And I was basically almost forced to do something that was not my natural skills. When I asked this individual, I said, do you ever play music? No. I was trained to think of it as like a waste of time, extracurricular. Now, this individual had come to see me for different issues, and I said, you have to reclaim your voice. I'm not saying stop everything else that you're doing, but you need to reclaim that part of yourself. Because if you don't express who you really are, even if you're not aware of it, it has to implode and it has to have negative impact. So maybe we can get away with it for a while, but at some point, a deep restlessness, a deep, I would say, lack of fulfillment will settle in, because it's like a part. Imagine someone saying to you, don't use your right arm. Don't use your right arm. There's no way that that can last. At some point, that right arm is going to be compelling you, making you feel that I need to express myself. And the same is with our psyches, with our souls, with our individuality. So, number one is to ask the question. Very often you ask someone, who are you? I've asked this question many times, and they give me their business card. I said, that's not who you are, that's what you do. Sometimes I'm met with silence, and sometimes the person will say, hey, sadly, I've been doing what I do so long that what I do has become who I am. Do you hear that? Who you are should define what you do. The captain should be directing the ship, not the ship, the captain. So what we do suddenly becomes who we are, not suddenly, over time. and so many other forces and voices and pressures and demands that are control of us, which essentially also turns you into, I don't want to call it a victim of circumstances, let's call it a product of circumstance. Reactive instead of proactive. Who needs what from me today? Instead of waking up in the morning and saying, what am I here to contribute? What is unique? What does my voice have to say? And some people are terrified to even go there because after years and years of conforming and satisfying others, and yes, maybe with your unique flavor, we all like to add something. There's always also feigned rebellion where we so-called imagine that we're also breaking a rule or two. But you haven't really found yourself. So the question is, number one. Number two is to discover yourself. So how do you discover yourself? Well, the first is to get out of your comfort zone. You have to get out of your comfort zone. I often ask people, when you go to a party, you go to an event, what do you gravitate to? The people you know or the people you don't know? Most answer, I go to the people I know. It's more comfortable. Begin meeting people you don't know. People you know you can always go to other times. Not because you have to avoid them, but because you're trying to get fresh air into your life. You want something different, you have to do something different. What do they say in recovery? Nothing changes, nothing changes. If nothing changes, nothing changes. Or I'd like to put it, if you thought what you thought, if you think what you thought, if you say what you said, if you do what you did, what are you going to have? What you had. It's a mathematical certainty. But we have this illusion, what they call is insanity, doing the same thing and expect different results. Doesn't work that way. Action, reaction, cause and effect. You want something different, do something different. Say something different. Think different. That's the key. Meet someone new. Try something fresh. Bring fresh air into the picture. Because even if your recycled air is manageable, which is also questionable, but let's even say it is manageable, it's not going to create growth. At best, you'll be going through the same routine, the same rut. Fresh air is through new people, a new activity, take on a new hobby, read something new, join a new group, initiate above all. Because to be proactive means you have to initiate. As long as you're not initiating, you're also undermining your own self-confidence. Because in a sense, you're always relying, okay, let someone else initiate and I'll come along. Doesn't have to begin big. Doesn't have to be formidable and intimidating. Begin with small things. Host once a week or once a month something in your house. A discussion group, over tea, a book club. Initiate. You won't believe what kind of effect it has. Besides building confidence that you see you can initiate, it will draw out your unique skills. Do you remember the first times you went to summer camp? Or the first time there was a project at school? Certain excitement about doing something that you uniquely did. I remember I was in summer camp as a teenager. We had color war. We all know what the color war is in camp. The bunks, the kids, the campers are divided into two teams. And I remember on our team, there was an individual who was very talented, who was supposed to write the song, a theme song. Well, he got fever. He ended up in the infirmary. And the captain of the team came to me, the general of the team, and said to me, hey, your father's a writer, right? Maybe you write the song. I never wrote, in school I did some writing projects, but I never did this. And it wasn't a professional, this was a camp. So I said, I can't do this. He said, you'll have to do it. I need it by, he gave me a deadline within the day. I had to do it within a day. I sat down under a tree, I remember. I hummed a tune to myself, and I began writing words to that tune. It was about a relationship with the divine. That was what I was going to write about, prayer. It ended up being pretty good. We actually won. Our team won. I look back at it now, a little childish, but regardless, I remember it was the first foray I took. It was like the first time you dive into water. It's not easy, but it opened up a new vista, a new horizon for me. And not in that after that I began writing, but I tried it, and then I did more of it, and I enjoyed it. And it was always difficult, and it's still difficult. But that's what it means, and then you find your voice. Every one of us has that voice, has that song. But you have to ask yourself, and you have to compel yourself, feel that you want to get out of your comfort zone. If you're not going to do that, you'll remain where you are. That's how it is. There's no magic trick. So first ask yourself the question, who are you? Are you a copy or an original? And if you're not sure, it's time to discover yourself. And you do so by going out of your comfort zone, meeting new people, trying something new, challenging yourself, having a discussion with someone that you disagree with, not someone that you agree with or agrees with you. A disagreement in a civil way, in a pleasant way, but hear a different opinion. And you need to make a case for what your opinion is. And you may even change your mind, or you may not. But the point is to open ourselves up to wider and broader and more expansive possibilities. That's how you discover yourself. If you think about it, it's probably the greatest tragedy if a person at the end of their lives cannot say that I really sang my song. And on the other hand, what greater joy than being able to say I did sing my song. And inspired me and inspired many others. Now, just since we're using the analogy of music, so just as it is with music, this doesn't mean at the exclusion of others in your life. We're not talking about a type of a fierce individuality that annihilates everyone around you. But take music, different musical notes, each one unique, or in a symphony, different musicians, different instruments, but they all join together in a harmony. Each one needed and each one needing the other. Take the human body. Take nature, a healthy organism made up of trillions of cells. So many different systems, but they're all coordinated, working together. And if they all became the same, a clone of each other, that would be destructive. That's the paradox. Individuality, but the harmony within diversity. And that requires transcending your ego, because this individuality that I'm describing here is not an ego trip. It's not a control game. It's just the expression, the humble expression of yourself. And at the same time, recognizing how others can support and can complement you. But it's not by becoming them and them becoming you that solves the issue. I love the expression from Rab Nachum Mendel of Kotsk, the Kotsker Rebbe as he was known. He puts it this way: if I am I because you are you, and you are you because I am not and you are not. But if I am I because I am I, and you are you because you are you, then I am and you are. Simply put, if my identity is defined by being in juxtaposition to yours, I need to know where you are before I define myself. And you need to and you need to know where I am before you define yourself. Then it's the blind leading the blind. We'll never find our identities. But if I am I, meaning my identity is generated from within me, and have that confidence, and you are you because it's generated from within you, then you, I, and we can come together. That's why you'll see people who are very comfortable in their own skin, very secure, are the people that are easiest to get along with. Coexistence comes natural. Because I don't need to fight for my turf. I know who I am. I don't need to take anything from you to become bigger. You don't need to be wrong for me to be right. It's a blessing to meet people like that because they help you learn how to be confident in your own right. The best teachers, the best mentors are the ones that are not going to tell you their opinion, even if they have a very strong one, even if you want to hear it. They will help you develop your opinion. They won't tell you what to think. They'll teach you how to think. And you look back, you'll see people like that, the restraint. Even though there was a question and you knew they had an answer, they didn't answer. They wanted you to answer. to develop the tools, the methodology. These are all indicators and all methods of how you discover that inner voice. So if you have found it, God bless you. Great. Learn to express it more. Learn to teach others how to find their voice. But we understand the forces at work. Thoreau writes, most men lead lives of quiet desperation of life, of survival, of existence, the pressures that turn our routines into habits and habits into principles that are very now etched and locked in, very difficult to break out of. But that's what the human spirit is about, the ability to break out of that. Not surprising that today music, I say today, I mean in our generations, music has become such a powerhouse. Because music is some form, I don't want to call it escape, but some form of free-spiritedness amidst the routines, the boredom, the monotony of the vicissitudes of life. It lifts our spirit, it transports us to another time and place, at least for a short while. But the key is not just to listen to music, but to create music, to be your own music, to sing your song, the songs of your soul, and be around people who appreciate it and are not trying to make you sing their song or to be an accessory to them or a support to them. But we also live in a very commercial world where people want something from you. That's why you're not going to see a big billboard or an advertisement that says, birth is God saying you matter. That says you're an individual, find your voice. Unless there's something to sell to you to get that voice. Which just takes us back to square one, which is they want something from you. To conform to something. Yeah, conform to this to find nonconformity, what they call spontaneous dancing at 9 p.m. Or as Walter Matthau put it, he said, look at my couch, look at my couch. It's authentic imitation leather. Reality TV, an illusion of reality, an illusion that you're finding your own voice. Buy this product and you'll discover your own voice. You don't need any product, you don't need any service. You have it all right here within you. It's all there. It's your birthright, it's your soul that has all this music and all the songs and all the beauty. You just need to carve and set it free. In the words of Michelangelo, when he was asked, how do you carve those beautiful angels in the marble? I see the angel trapped in the marble, he said. I carved and set her free. But for that, we need the effort. We need the work to get out of the status quo, remove the excess, and discover those engraved letters etched deep into our souls. Etched. It's not superimposed. It's not coming from anywhere. It's coming from within you. But you're just removing the blockages, the impediments, the obstacles. So, diversity. Each of us is unique. Each of us is unique. And even when sometimes we find something in our personality that may be different, and people don't like different, it doesn't look so good, so maybe people limited in some of their functionality, whatever reason it may be, what they call a handicap. It's not the way to look at it. The way to look at it is that everybody has something to contribute and something unique. Sometimes, yes, we may have an impediment in one area, we may have some block. That doesn't mean you can't compensate for it and that you don't have strengths in another area. The key is to focus on that pure soul of the individual that makes you unique and special and indispensable. So no, we're not 8 billion grains of sand on the beach, and who really cares? What difference does it make? It's 8 billion different musical notes, 8 billion different voices. And when you discover your voice, then you don't need to take someone's voice from them. You don't need to feel that someone's taking something from you, because you have it generating from within. So my friends, the greatest blessing and gift is to be able to find that voice. Please know that I'm here, my mission, and certainly part of it, is to help you find your voice. and even to express the need to find that voice. And I hope we all can complement each other in that fashion. I find it to be the most dignified thing, is to respect that majesty, the dignity of the unique individual journey that is you and your life. And then to intersect and cross-pollinate and interconnect and find ways that we complement each other and create a more beautiful synergy that's more than the sum of the parts. And that is my commitment. I hope we each, committed to that approach to life, can actually change our own narrative and the narrative around us. So nothing is pre-written. The script is not pre-written. You and I have the complete power to write the upcoming and unfolding narrative of our lives. Yes, there are circumstances we can't control, but how we will navigate and how we will interpret and how it will play itself out in our lives, our attitudes are up to us. So that's an amazing thing, feeling in a world that sometimes feel we're not in control, others are in control, to feel that you have total control to write your story and to play it out and to find others that feel and support that. Which brings me to the final suggestion. Make sure you surround yourself with people who believe in you. I'm sure we all have in our Rolodex, our contact list, whatever, our database, whatever you call it today. People, as soon as you have a great idea, they're the first, you call them the first to throw cold water. Who do you think you are? We've been there. Don't get so excited. The more things change, the more they stay the same. The cynical approach that basically dashes our hopes and our dreams. Find people who, when you call them, they say, wow, that's a great idea. I'm with you. Let's do it. Let's try something new. And allow yourself to discover sometimes a voice that you may have not heard for a long time or perhaps never heard before. And please share that with me. I'd love to hear about it. This has been Simon Jacobson. Remember, you are born an original. Don't become a copy. Simon Jacobson from the Meaningful Life Center, meaningfullife.com. Please subscribe to our growing YouTube channel. Love to hear your feedback, your thoughts, your comments, your suggestions, critique. And please share. Please share with others. Let us all together, each in our individual way, join together in a cosmic symphony of unprecedented music and song. Each of our voices equally necessary and equally complementing every other voice. Be well and be blessed. Thank you so much.